audience online, what do you do? Number 3. Offer value to them. Another way to say this for number 3, this will be familiar to a lot of you, give first. We're all so focused on, buy my book, come to my event, do this for me, do that for me. Give first, give first. What do you have that is valuable to this audience? This audience who you know they would find value in your content. What do you have to offer? So think about that. And I know that you have things to offer, right? We have resources. We have tips. And one of the biggest things that I think that our readers and our audience wants is availability. I mean, think about it. If you have a question about your profession, who do you want to ask? Well, somebody that's easy to ask, someone you can approach. Okay, I have to admit that this is one of my high values. I like being available and approachable. It doesn't have to be everybody's high value. So if you don't want to be available, you can have an excellent FAQ on your site, right? Or just tell them, hey, go to my site, I have all your questions answered. I also have an FAQ, but I like being live with people because I also like listening to what their concerns are. And this, when you're offering value, it's also a great time to ask questions. So ask them questions and ask them about their biggest concern. Ask them about the biggest concern about social media or video production or making things DIY, or in my case, I often ask, what is your biggest concern in marketing your book online and navigating social media as an author? I want to hear it, and then I want to hear it in their language. So as some of you heard me say in previous presentations, listen to their language and then use their language. So that's number 3. You want to really offer value when you show up in their communities so that you can become a part of their community. They will see you as valuable, and then they will check you out. They'll check out your book on Amazon. They will come to your site, and they will do some other things that when you invite them, you'll have more value for them. You'll have more credibility. So you're doing 2 things when you show up into their world. You're creating more visibility, and you're increasing credibility for them. So that's number 3. Any questions so far?
Number 3, for a fiction author, how do you give something?
That's a great question. A lot of authors ask me that. So usually where I start is, what is the message of the story? How do you show up? How do you show that value in your life? So for some women, one of my fiction author friends, she really cares about wolves. So she's often talking about wolf sanctuaries and things like that. And she happens to write about wolves in her novels. Other writers, maybe it's not necessarily about anything related to their book, but it's some other charity that they care deeply about. I notice that a lot of writers do that. Other writers really talk about some of the themes in their stories, whether it's women's rights or domestic abuse or things like that. In Ezra's book, The Da Vinci Code, he has, not Da Vinci Code, in Ezra's book, The Da Vinci Code, in Ezra's book, The Torah Codes, he's talking about Bible codes. He can have a lot of conversations with a lot of people about Bible codes. As if I'm writing about empowerment for girls, so I would talk about self-defense and athleticism and some of the other themes in my book, like I have sort of a subplot around blacksmithing and stuff like that. I'm really interested in that. So I would share about whole resources about blacksmithing. I also like dragons, a tremendous amount. So sharing about dragons. So it kind of becomes thematic. Yeah. Another author I know talks a lot about older heroines. So sort of like how older women can have, a powerful life. And one of her heroines is blind, so she talks about how blind people have, can have possibilities in their life too. So there's a subplot there, or sub-theme, of empowerment. Yeah, okay, so that's a good question. I'm sure my audience would know. And I get that question a lot.